It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Walking Dead Dead City. They released the Season 2 trailer for Dead City just the other day, and there's tons of extremely interesting scenes, lots of WTF moments, and a bit of misleading that they're doing, or what I think is misleading, or what I should say is a fake out. I'll explain what I mean by that when we get there, but there are also tons of cool concepts that are teased for this upcoming season. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break it all down, and I'm gonna explain everything that I got out of this trailer. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into this trailer breakdown. So, I'm gonna go through this more or less the same way that the trailer was, like in terms of the sequence of the scenes that they included, but I also moved things a little bit around to match up with what I'm gonna be explaining throughout this video. I'm also going to be referencing some things from the other teasers that they released, so all of that will be kind of in this breakdown. So it's a full breakdown for anyone who's interested in the details. So we have this trailer starting with some aerial shots of a post-apocalyptic Manhattan. Of course, we have this one, and this one. Now, all of these were in the first season, not new. I don't know if anyone noticed, but these are reused. Not new at all, but we do have some new stuff in there as well. We have a cool shot of Maggie in front of a group, and it seems like she's in charge, like she's leading some sort of a battle, which is pretty awesome. We have this cool shot of the Manhattan area as well, a decayed Statue of Liberty, which has a lot of symbolism. Obviously, the Statue of Liberty is the symbol of freedom, and it's decaying, so there's a lot of symbolism to that. They've used this forever in post-apocalyptic and also other types of like war movies and things like that, so there's a lot of symbolism here, which is pretty awesome. We have this pretty cool shot of the city as well. Now we have another similar shot, which is this one, and it appears that there's a group going towards the city, so it seems like there is a group, possibly led by Maggie, who's taking the battle or the war to New York. So they're bringing the war to the Croat and the Dama's doorsteps, which is pretty awesome. Then we have this cool shot of Negan holding Lucille. Obviously, it's not the real Lucille. It's a new bat with barbed wires. So it's not the OG Lucille, but it still has the same type of emotional attachment for Negan, and it's the same concept. We do have a person behind him who I think is one of the Croats guys. He has the same helmet, but this shot right here actually reminded me a lot of the Whispers arc. I don't know what it is about this. It reminded me a lot of when Beta was taking Negan to the Whispers. It's pretty cool that they have that matching up with that. I don't know if it was intentional, but it's pretty cool. But Negan goes through this tunnel, there's walkers on either side, and at one point this walker peeks its head out. Now, when I saw this walker, it's pretty quick, but it's there. When I saw it, I got reminded of the acid walkers in the Daryl Dixon spinoff. I don't know if there's a connection, I don't know if they're bringing acid walkers into it, but that's what I got reminded of. Again, I don't think that they're doing that. I don't even think that there are going to be any type of variants in Dead City, but this is pretty cool regardless. We have this shot of the city as well. It's pretty dark, and then we have Maggie here talking to someone. I think she's talking to the bounty hunter Pearly Armstrong, who obviously has this whole rivalry and, you know, war going on with the Dama and the Croat. She says, "Why do you want to bring back Manhattan?" So obviously it means that Pearly Armstrong came to her to get her help to take the city back. And that goes back to what I said, they're taking the war to Manhattan. And then Pearly Armstrong's response is, "We've lost too much." Self-explanatory. And then we have this shot of Maggie and I think a new character on the right. I don't recognize her. I don't think it's the same character from season 1. But Maggie says we know what it means to go back there, referring to Manhattan. And then we have this shot of Herschel Jr. He's a teen now, he's all grown up. They did some interviews teasing that there's going to be a darker side of him coming out in the season. We have this shot of Negan with his hood up. It looks like he's in some sort of a cell. I think this is early on when he first went back to Manhattan. I don't think this is new. I think it's a flashback during the time when Maggie took him back to Manhattan and handed him off to the Croat. But then we have the juicy stuff. We have this pretty awesome shot that reminds me a lot of Negan's Sanctuary. It's obviously some sort of concert hall in New York, Manhattan specifically. It might even be Radio Hall City, which we do see later in the trailer. But it's basically Negan's new sanctuary. It's the new home that they have for Negan's new crew. What we do have the Dama watching, we have the Croat there, and there's basically people sitting there watching. Now, Negan walks up, and then it seems like he's gonna have some sort of monologue, just like his infamous monologues during his Savior's era. But he says, I hear this island's got no law. Question is, are you gonna keep it that way? And obviously, like I said, the Dama is watching. So, I think what's happened is the Dama brought Negan in to bring people together, basically put them in line and make them follow the rules. And then we have another shot of the Dama. And then we have a cool shot of Negan holding Lucille. It's all about the theatrics when it comes to Negan, and that's on full display here. Another shot as well, we have obviously the Croat kneeling down and Negan putting Lucille up to him. It seems like he's being knighted or something along those lines, which is pretty interesting. But I think that all of the people watching are the maybe lieutenants that are in that area, or the lieutenants of the mini groups in Manhattan, but also the soldiers that they have. We do have Kim Kowat's character right up front as well. He's going to be playing a character called Bruegel. Now, we will see later on, it seems like Bruegel may have a higher ranking than the others, so that's extremely interesting, but we'll get there. And then we have Negan and someone else putting a fence up, and then that's when Negan is attacked by this walker who's actually going to be in a gladiator fight type event. We did see something like that in the first season. They're doing it again. Someone rings the bell, and then there is a cage fight with these zombies that are basically dressed in a certain way to make it feel more theatrical, make it feel more like a gladiator fight. And someone is obviously there having to defend themselves, like we saw in the first season. Then we have this shot. I don't know who this is, but they're lighting up a candle. And then it seems like there's a lot of people inside some sort of a community. This might be a community in the Manhattan area, I'm not sure. We do see Maggie going into a similar environment. It could be the same place. And then she's shocked by what she's seeing. This could be completely different. It could be a cult that she comes across. I don't know. And then we have this shot of Maggie. It looks like she's in the back of a pickup truck and she's crying, so that's extremely interesting. We have Herschel Jr. again, and then Maggie talking. Maggie says, you don't know what they're doing with Negan. So I sense a bit of concern from Maggie, like she wants to go help Negan because she doesn't know what they're doing. There's another way this could go. Maybe Herschel Jr. wants to go help Negan, and then Maggie is trying to stop him. It could be both of those things. But then we have this shot of Herschel Jr. pissed, throws the knife, and then it hits the wall. Now, two things here. Obviously, this goes back to what I said, us seeing a darker side of Herschel Jr. because he's angry and all of that. But also, this is very much an Easter egg because we did see Maggie throwing a knife just like that during the Savior's War. So it's pretty much a Easter egg or a callback to that. Then we have this shot of a car in front of a van. Now, it's raining and everything, and the environment makes it seem like this is like an ambush, like they're getting ready to ambush someone. Now, another part that's extremely interesting is obviously the Croat is walking to the car. It's dark, but you can kind of see him, and Negan is inside the car. Now, this also reminded me a lot of the Negan Savior's era when, you know, they were kind of doing all of these blockades around the communities like Alexandria and Hilltop and Kingdom and all of that. So this reminded me a lot of that type of scene or event. But we do see Negan and the Croat here again. The Croat says, new day, new beginning. Not much to break down. We have the Croats people throwing a zombie inside this type of liquid. We know what they're doing with that. They're trying to get power or energy from this. So they're trying to generate electricity from the gas from the walkers. That was revealed in the first season. But Negan and the Croat are talking here, Dama in the back. The Croat says we can bring the city back. So they're trying to unite people. They're trying to bring back the city. We have this, I don't know what it is exactly. I think it's just a walker inside that liquid in a tube or pipe. And obviously all of this is to get electricity. And we do see Radio City Music Hall lighting up. So the city turns on, which is pretty awesome. And then in the background, Negan says, you see power equals power. Very cool. I love this. I mean, this is something that is unique. We haven't really heard it before in any type of show or movie, and it's powerful on its own. What it's saying is power or electricity equals power, like in terms of actual power that a leader can have on a group of people. Extremely powerful, extremely symbolic. But we do see Negan here with the Dama and the Croat and their people walking through Manhattan. Negan has Lucille in hand, pretty awesome stuff. We have more shots of the city turning back on. And in the voiceover, Negan says, so if you ain't with us. And then we have this shot of Maggie looking shocked. And then this girl who was with Maggie pointing a gun at someone. I don't think she's pointing a gun at Maggie. I think she's pointing a gun at like the Croat or someone from their team. But not much to break down. We have Pearlie Armstrong here looking at someone who is hung. Not much to break down. It's a zombie at this point, obviously. We have Negan pretty pissed off here. This is extremely interesting. I don't know if he's pissed off at the Croat or what, but that's extremely interesting. He looks mad. Like he's about to go back to Negan's "are we pissing our pants" moment. So that's extremely cool. But Negan says, then I guess you're in for a bit of a shock. So if you're not with us, this was what he said, then you're in for a bit of a shock. And he has Lucille pointed at someone. This is classic Negan. We're back to the lineup scene. We're back to his theatrics. Negan's old self is on full display right here. The Croat's in the background. And it's pretty cool. Obviously, this is the same area where he was giving that monologue. So he's doing a speech in this area and someone is getting punished. But this guy thinks that, he can take Negan down. So what he does is he tries to grab the bat, and then guess what happens? Boom. Now I thought that someone shot at them, but no, it's just the electricity. Like there's wires, and these wires are connected to electricity in some way, and he just got zapped. He got shocked. And that's why Negan said, you're in for a bit of a shock. So there's a connection there. Awesome stuff. I absolutely love the whole thing. And then people get shocked. No pun intended this time, but anyway, they get shocked, and then someone comes in with a freaking flamethrower and just burns them all out. It looks like these are maybe soldiers that weren't falling in line or something like that, but that's cool. And then we have Bruegel here saying, it's a gentrifying neighborhood. What do you expect? And he is basically looking at a dead body on the ground. Now, I didn't know what gentrifying meant, so I looked it up. Means something like change of character, or going from a good person to a bad person because of greed and power and money. Once you have power, you want more power. So it plays on that a little bit as well, which is pretty awesome. And then we have this scene where we have the Croat and other people who are probably the lieutenants, and obviously Bruegel. They're sitting at a table. This looks like a Last Supper type of thing. It's not, but it has that feel. But he says, I dare any mainlanders to set foot in this island. So threats against people coming to the island. So it looks like maybe he's in charge. He's the big bad. He's the main guy in charge. And obviously we have the lieutenants sitting next to him. We have the Croat there. We have Negan there. We have the Dama there. So it looks like Negan, the Dama, the Croat, they're all lieutenants. The leader is Bruegel. That's the sense I'm getting, which is extremely interesting. We have this, which is a beach. We have a ship or a boat burning in the background. We'll see why that's burning in a little bit. But we have Maggie, we have Pearlie Armstrong, and we have a lot of people running away from the water on the beach. So they're basically going on the island. They brought the war to Bruegel. Now at this point, I don't know if they know what's going on with Negan. I don't think they know Negan is with them. So they're really going to war with Negan. I don't think they know it. But we have Maggie, Herschel Jr., and Pearlie Armstrong here. And then we have this. Now this is pretty awesome. That's the same ship that was burning. We do see the Statue of Liberty on the top left. It's a little dark, but you can see it right there. That is clear as day, the Statue of Liberty. So they're in the water that's around the Statue of Liberty. Now, in the boat are probably Maggie's crew. And we have a cannonball going off. Now, who ordered this cannonball to go off? Negan. He's watching on the binoculars or the telescope or whatever that is. He can see people. Boom. Fire. There's an explosion and a fire, which is why Maggie's crew were running on the beach, because they had to jump out of the boat into the water because it obviously exploded. We have this shot. I'm not sure where this is. Looks pretty cool, but we have the group that we saw earlier, Negan, the Croat, the Dama, and everyone going somewhere. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're confronting another group or something. We have Maggie and Herschel Jr. talking here. Maggie says, "You came all the way here to help me run." So basically, I think Herschel Jr. wasn't with Maggie first, but he went after her to help her. That's the vibe I'm getting. But then we have this scene. I think this is before Maggie leaves. They're just saying goodbye. And then she says, "That's what I need you to do. So I need you to run." So she's telling him to run away. And then we have Negan and Maggie meeting for the first time again here. Negan says, "You came back." So he's shocked to see her back, which is pretty interesting. And then we have this shot of someone opening the electrical unit. And then we'll see why he's doing that. Why he or she, I should say, is doing that. We have Maggie just beating some walkers, being badass. And then boom. Whoever this is knocking down the electricity. So no power. No power. No power. Goes back to what Negan says. Power equals power. So no power means they won't have any power. I hope you understand what I mean. Anyway, the electricity goes down. The power goes down. Lights out. Boom. The Croat is shocked and he is concerned. Why is the electricity down? And then we have this shot of Negan and Maggie in front of that cage that we saw earlier. But Negan says, "Show's about to start. We got work to do." So it looks like they're helping each other or working together in some way, which is pretty awesome. We have Negan with the baseball bat, Lucille hitting a walker. Pretty awesome. We have the community we saw earlier, people in front of the fence. The walkers are there. And then we have this shot. This is extremely cool. Few reasons. The Dama looks like a walker here. I think this is a flashback. I don't think this is new. I think it's a flashback, but the Dama is with Herschel Jr. That's another huge thing. But like I said, it's a flashback from when she and the Croat kidnapped Herschel Jr. I think that's what's happening. But she says, "This new world, we're gonna have to protect it." And then we have Negan and the Croat inside some sort of a community. I think this is the same one that we saw before. We have someone running away here. And then we have this shot, which is a painting. It might be like an American Revolution painting or something like that, but it's burning. And then in the voiceover, she says, "We get to make new rules." So the Dama is saying this. And this obviously plays very well into the American Revolution, Civil War stuff that was going on in real life. So a lot of connections and parallels there, which is pretty cool. We have Negan fighting someone here with Lucille. We have Maggie and the Croat here. It looks like maybe the Croat has captured Maggie or Maggie has captured the Croat. But Maggie says, "I'm not playing your games." We know the Croat is also all about theatrics and playing games and tricks and stuff. So Maggie's not having any of it. And then we have here Pearlie Armstrong, Maggie, and others inside a compound. Maybe the same place where the lieutenants and everyone is at. And then we have this pretty interesting shot of Negan sitting on the throne. That's the same chair that Bruegel was sitting at. And then some people are taking him away and he says no or yells no. So he's captured. It's interesting. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it looks like maybe Negan is in trouble. Now, going back to the earlier shot where Negan was in the cell, it's possible if that's not a flashback, it could be from after this moment when he was captured. Anyway, we have Maggie being badass again, killing more walkers, and then she gets ready to fight, not a walker, but a freaking bear. What the hell is a bear doing there? I don't know. Anyway, this is pretty cool. I guess last time around season 1 it was a mutated walker, now it's a bear. Good luck, Maggie. Now, people say this is a zombie bear, but it's not. It's just a bear on cocaine. This connects to, or could connect to, something that was in a teaser that they released. There was a teaser where we saw Maggie and Herschel Jr. go inside of a room, and then something hit the door, and the door was obviously metal. So it was like, what is that? Now, when I did my breakdown, I thought it was a mutated walker, or a variant, or something. But no, it's probably just the bear on cocaine. And then we have this shot of someone with Lucille walking up. Now, I didn't even notice this when I first saw this, but it's a female boot. What is that all about? But in the voiceover, Negan says, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We all know what that is about. We all know what that's referring to. We all know why he's doing that. There's a lineup scene, obviously. But that's not Negan, because those boots are female and smaller than Negan's boots. It's Maggie holding Lucille. That's crazy. Now, hold up. Calm down. Take a breath. I think they're misleading us here. I think this is a fake out. I think this is not Maggie punishing someone with Lucille, although that would be interesting for them to do that, but I don't think they're gonna do that. I could be wrong, it's 50-50, but I think it's a dream sequence. I think that they're doing the same thing they did with Michonne. Remember that? She was holding Lucille. They did that back in like season 11 or season 10 it was, I think. I think it's the same thing. It's a hallucination, it's a dream sequence. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.